Okay, hey everybody, JK here from Weekend Panda. Alright, so today we're doing a live stream on a Saturday evening, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And today I'm going to be working on some level/world design. So, got a new game in the works for Weekend Panda. It's going to be, I don't have a lot of details to share on it yet because we're still in the early stages, prototyping and designing and that sort of stuff. But if you came to the streams this past week, you will have seen a panda that is almost finished. That will be one of the main character elements of the game. And so today I'm going to be working on level and world design. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to look like yet, so I'm just going to kind of play around and try some things. If you think of a 2D side scroller and maybe a standard grassy plain kind of level design, that's what we're probably going to go with for this first world. There's going to be 6 worlds total, and this first one has a very grassy plains, meadowy kind of level design. So what I'm going to need to do is create a tile set for the platforms themselves, and then I'm going to eventually need to do background design and things like that. But that'll come later because I'm not very good at that. So I'm going to put it off as long as I possibly can, which is not a good thing to do. All right, so if you haven't been to the other streams before, my Cintiq is over there on the other side of the desk, and I have not moved my webcam yet to that monitor, which I probably should at this point, but I haven't yet. So I'm going to turn off my webcam so you don't have to stare at my face, or actually just stare at this part of my shoulder the whole time. And then we'll get started. So that would be that button. All right, so let's do this. Generally speaking, I'm going to probably work in grayscales today because I don't want to have to also deal with color while I'm dealing with design of platforms. But to begin, I'm going to start with, just as an example, kind of what we're shooting for here. And this is not going to obviously be the final colors or anything, but this is what I'm going to need to design. Essentially a ground plane that has some grassiness to it, and then underneath that probably dirt. And we can go in and make the dirt have some, interesting detail to it. And maybe we'll go ahead and eventually put some, little bits of grass or something. But long and the short of it is the character itself is going to sit right here on top of the plane, and this will be the spot that it hits, and so that's kind of what we're shooting for. So I need to design this element and kind of figure out what it's going to look like. That's actually pretty good right there. I'll just do that, and then I don't have to do this anymore. No, probably not. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to just kind of experiment and play around with stuff and see what might work and what might not work and that sort of thing. And we'll kind of go from there. I'm going to start by doing probably just a bunch of square, actually this is dumb, I don't need to do it the hard way, I might as well do it the easy way. Nope, wrong button. Shift backspace. Alright. So what I'll do is I will make one of those and then duplicate it. Nope, not that way. Yeah, you got this. Come on. Alright, there we go. Alright, copy. So I will duplicate a bunch of them, and then I will just try some things and see what happens and kind of go from there. Duplicating. All right, 4. Now let's go with 6, because you just never know when you're going to get into a groove and you'll need more to work on. Okay, so we're going to pretend that these gray boxes are the brown plane on the ground. So the gray boxes, the gray boxes will represent that ground part. And now we need to design this green part that goes above it. So I'm going to do the green part in a lighter color or a darker color. Probably easier to work in a darker color. I'll just do it in a darker color. Also, FYI, if anybody wants to chat in the chat window on the live stream, if you're watching this pre-recorded, I apologize. Should come to the live stream next time. But if anybody who is here live wants to chat, go ahead and do that in the little chat box on Twitch, and I will glance over every once in a while and try to respond, or if you have any questions or anything, just let me know. Okay, so the easiest thing to do would be to have just a boring straight line on top and bottom, but it's good to start with standard, so let's go ahead and do that for a moment. And if we wanted to, we could just go ahead and do something really dull like that, and that's a possibility. To jazz it up a little, I would probably want to add kind of a highlight to the top, which is not enough. There we go. So adding kind of a highlight to the very top indicates exactly where the ground plane begins, and it's kind of something that they do a lot in, especially pixel art. So I could do that, and then I could also go underneath and put in some sort of like shadow for where the grass connects with the dirt. So that's probably going to be the most basic and boring version, and actually we will lighten up the highlight even more because that highlight that's too much. Okay, that highlight doesn't contrast enough. See, I'm working way too clean right now. This should be rough, and I'm going to stop working so cleanly on the next one. So that would be the easiest and most dull version I could do. And based on the colors I chose and the style I was going with, that might work, but I'm going to try to do better than that. So let's try some variations. I'm still going to need the straight at the top, and I think that in general there will always be the straight at the top because that's the area that connects with the character. But what I can do then is kind of mimic some sort of like overhanging grass and just put in different levels, which will certainly be more interesting to look at visually than the plain one that was before. And I'll worry about how to make all these tiles and things later. And for anybody who doesn't know, a tile is, in games, essentially what you're doing is, you're making squares, and then you use those squares to then, how do I put it, build the world. So, for example, what I've just selected here would be a tile, and if I moved, it's not going to work because I'm not going to. Yeah, okay, I'll just combine layers real quick so I can explain this, and then I'll go back to working. So this would be one tile, and it would be the edge tile. Anytime I need an edge, I would just put that tile down. And then I would need a middle tile for the ground part, or the top ground. So for example, this might be the middle tile here. And what I would do is design this middle tile so that it has repeating elements and things, which means that what I could do is put that there, and then I could, whoops, sorry. I can put this here, and then I can copy that as many times as I want over which, there we go. And then I could just keep repeating that same tile over and over again. And when you do it that way, it cuts down on a lot of sprites, file size and things. And then I would make more tiles that would go down underneath and all kinds of other stuff. So this is just the early design, and then I'll need to go back and refine that to make the actual tiles themselves. And that's just kind of where we are at the moment. Okay, so all right. So that's an option as well, and I will add the highlight at the top of this one. You're not going to probably see the highlight as well in black and white or in shades of gray because the background is also gray, but I'll put it in there anyway. Okay. So on this one, I might leave no shadow and no anything else like that. But what I might then do is copy that over to another one and then duplicate it. Or you duplicate and kind of put it underneath and then change the color a bit. So actually, let me change the color of the top one. So now, rather than that, we would have, nope, that did not work. Try that. Nope, that didn't work either. Let's try that. Ah, third time's the charm. So what we could do is have a lighter color on top, and then underneath we can have something more interesting that just kind of adds depth to it. And that one's, again, everything is very rough here, so it's not going to be exactly what it will look like in the end, but it's just kind of thumbnailing and getting ideas so that you can see variations quickly in black and white, and then just get an idea of, oh, do I want to go in this direction, do I want to go in that direction, that sort of thing. Okay, so let's move that down, and then okay. So that's another option. You can go with like a layered effect like that. And there's a lot of variations on each of these I could do. I'm just going to kind of get some out of the way and figure it out. Okay, so then we could do a very, how's what going to be best doing this? We'll just do that because it's rough. Rough, staying rough. Okay, so we can do one that's more evenly spaced little hanging grass bits. And this will give it a distinctly different feel. It'll be much more graphic because everything is very even. It will be less illustrative, and that may work based on the character designs and things that I've been working on, but I don't know. I won't know until I try stuff. This is why we're doing this. And let's add the highlight. All right, so that's another option. What else we got? Nope. There we go. Okay, so we did just a rough grass kind of thing, a plain one, a drop down one. We could do a variation that's like wave, something like that. Which would work. So looking up here at the first one, I kind of like the drop shadow on it, so I'll probably go back and add the drop shadow effect to all of them. Oh, where do I want to? So the tricky thing about this is that I don't know how much shadow is going to be on the characters, and I don't know how many flat colors I'm going to use. So it may be better if I don't put the drop shadow on or add it later if it will, if it's necessary, I guess. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll leave it for now and come back. But I am liking that drop shadow on that first one. So I don't know. And I feel like for this one that I'm doing now, that drop shadow almost is, I think it would work better with it than without. Oops, too dark. So I'll put that one in for now, and then I'll easily take it out later. Yeah. So that one I prefer the drop shadow. I think I'm going to like the drop shadow on all of them, to be honest with you, but I'm not sure yet. All right, so what else we got? Let's do one that is weirder, because I haven't done a weird one yet. How do I want to do a weird one? We could do like some sort of curls and vines and things. Beautiful thing. I can delete them later if I don't like it, but might as well try stuff, right? So maybe this one is some sort of yeah, I don't like that. But doing concepts right now, so whatever, I don't have to like it. I just have to try stuff. Okay, let me save this for a second because I just realized that I never even saved the file in the first place, and that's bad to do. Alright, so this would be world design, I guess. We'll call it world design. I suppose I should call it stage design, that would be better. Oh well. Alright, so what we do have here is 6 options to start with. And I don't know how, I kind of, let me number them so that while we're talking, I can refer to stuff and I won't have to say, you know, that one. All right, so we have 6 options. Number 1 is nice and clean. I can understand why I would go with that, but it's also kind of boring. And this game is going to be appropriate for everybody, so there's not a lot of very strange elements to it, but I feel like it's just too dull. And I feel like number 4 has a lot of whimsy to it. I wonder what number 4 would look like with the number 3 backdrop thing. Let me try that real quick. All right. if I grab the top of this and paste it down there, don't need that one. What would happen if we, I need to change the, let's change the opacity for a second. What if we did something like this? No, I don't really like that. Nice idea in theory, didn't work. Okay. But this would make for a drop shadow. Could keep. Because I do like those drop shadows. Kind of gives it a little extra dimension, and I kind of like the extra dimension, so I'm leaving it. So number 4 I enjoy. It gives it a little more character than number 1, but it's not so much that it's going to be distracting like number 6, because number 6 is super distracting to me, and I don't like it, and I didn't really like it halfway through doing it, but that's okay. I just finished it for the sake of finishing it. I like number 5 as well. I don't think I'm going to go with 2 and 3, which is interesting because originally I thought I would. Here, while I'm rambling, I might as well turn the webcam back on. You'll see me staring at another screen, but it's more interesting to watch than a blank screen while somebody's gibbering. So, I don't mind number 1, but it's kind of boring. Number 2 and 3, I don't think I will go with because visually it's kind of distracting, but also it just doesn't really fit with the feel of what I think we're going for. Number 4 I like, and number 5 I like, and number 6 I hate. So the good news is that we have determined at the very least that we're not going to go with number 6. I won't put that there for the final save, but that's useful to know. So I think just based on these, so I should say this, okay, if you're ever doing something like this and you want to do the best job possible, then you need a lot more than 6. And the only way I can tell you that and give you that advice is if I do it. So even though I started talking to you right here, and I was going to say, don't do what I'm about to do and pick one without trying other things, the truth is, I would be a hypocrite if I did that. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to try some more. But right now, I am leaning towards number 4 and 5. So what we'll do is maybe we'll try 2 more random ones, and then we will try iterations on number 4 and 5, because I'm leaning towards those anyway. So let me shut off the webcam again, and we'll get back to art. To do that, I'm going to save the file as World Design 2, and that way I have what I just did, and I don't have to worry about ruining it. But I'm going to, for now, get rid of those bits. And that, where's that? Oh, I painted those on there. Okay. Let me get rid of those real quick too. Okay. So let's start again as if, well, a continuation of what I just did. And that way we can try some more concepts. What if I did something, all right, I said I need to keep the top flat, but let's forget about that for a minute because we're in concept mode, and sometimes in concept mode you just break your own rules because you get an idea. And that's the beautiful thing about right now. I can do whatever and it doesn't matter because I can just throw it away. So what if instead of doing it flat, we did little nubbies at like above? Okay, this is going to take forever. But bear with me. In the meantime, I will tell you a story. Once upon a time, there were 3 bears. Mama bear, Papa bear, and a little baby bear. One day, Mama bear was in the kitchen making porridge, and she mixing the porridge in a giant metal pot on the stove. And she added cinnamon and nutmeg and honey, molasses. What else? Sugar and brown sugar. You gotta have that. It has the molasses in it. And star of anise, for something different. And a number of other random spices. Okay, we're done. So the tricky thing about this would be that the character has to move along top of it, and I'm not sure how that would look, but I could certainly try it and see what would happen. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but at least it's a new option that I didn't have a minute ago. So we're going to roll with it, and we're going to leave it there and see what happens. We'll come back to it and see how I feel about it later. All right, one more different concept, and then we'll do some iterations on the two that I already like more than all the others. But I don't know. Maybe this one will be good. Let's go back to a flat top because that's going to make life easier for hit states. And let's figure out what we're going to do underneath that. I don't want to just repeat the same thing that I just did over here. Otherwise, I would do little dots on there. Actually, I put them further apart. What if I did that? See what would happen if we did that, but further apart. And this will take less time, but I can continue the story in the meantime. So Papa Bear comes in and is like, something smells really good, and Mama Bear says, it's too hot, can't have any. And Baby Bear comes in and says, well, let's go for a walk in the park while we wait for the porridge to cool. For some reason, porridge takes an absorbently long amount of time to cool down in this universe, but whatever. So they do. Get their jackets and shoes on, and then they go out and walk down to the park, hang out with all their friends. Okay, that one's done. So that's an idea. That would add a texture, which is kind of nice. And I didn't think about adding texture to it, but that could be an interesting thing. So we're going to keep going with new ideas because I've gotten a few more as I'm working. What if we took that last one again, but this time did it a bit more like a wave, like this. Oh wait, that's the one that I had earlier. Yeah, that's pretty much what I did earlier. So let's not do that, because that would be useless. But what if we did them more spiky instead of curvy? What do we think? Liking the spikes? I'm not sure if that would work. Oh, we got messages. Hang on, let me. Okay. Stereo says, well, if you had that in the foreground with the character moving behind the clumps, it might add a greater sense of depth. That is a good call. I am assuming then that you meant this one, and I just didn't look over at the screen because nobody was talking. Yes, that is a good point. If essentially what we would do then is we would make the hit state somewhere down here, and then have the ground be on top of the character, so that when you did the character, it would be like here, and that part would be slightly in front of it. And that might be interesting. I like the idea. It's a good call. I didn't think about that. You're right. So I think that may be an option. More of an option than it was in my head a second ago. I appreciate that. Okay, so if we had, well, then that kind of opens up a can of worms, right? Because if we do that, then I could do all kinds of crazy tops and get away with it like that, which might be dangerous because then I'm going to sit here all day doing just variations on different tops. But yes, that is definitely a possibility, and one that maybe I want to consider, because if you were here at all for the Panda design, you may note that the panda is, the character design is almost a circle. It's not quite a circle. And so I was going to run into some problems because by not having it be a circle, panda, no feet, no, get rid of the feet. By having it not be a complete circle, there were going to be times when if it's on a flat plane, there might be a little bit of a gap somewhere between the hit states. So this would allow me to not have to mess with that, which would be kind of nice. So that is a very, very real possibility now. All right. Let me do one more, and then I'm going to do a variation on that other one. Okay, so what else could I do? I could do something very graphic. Okay, sure. Let's try. To do this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to this tool called the Assistant tool, which if you can't see is all the way over here. And the Assistant tool allows you to draw straight lines in Krita by going down and selecting Parallel Ruler and then selecting 2 points and then going back to your brush and turning on the Snap to Assistant, and then any line I draw is perfectly straight, which is super nice and helpful. And for this one, we're going to use that, because what I'll try is, what if we did like some sort of variation of color or something. Like this. And then maybe. Okay, so if we did this, oh, I gotta turn off my assistant and let me get rid of my friend the helper. Thank you, helper. And we'll go back. Okay, so if we did something like this, then I might be able to do is, hang on, not too far, one direction. What I might be able to do is have it be, it's almost like a pixel effect. I don't know. An idea. Oops. Getting too clean again. There, kid. Just leave it alone. Okay. Or I could even do that upside down if I wanted to, and have the lightest part be at the top, which might work better. So let's just try that real quick by stealing what I already did. Could do something like that. That's a possibility as well. And actually, there's a lot of possibilities for multiple things here. Why did this one get a hole in it? What did you do? All right, fixed. All right, so that's a possibility too. The thing is, I feel like that would just be too much, but maybe not. I don't know. We'll try. All right, so let me save again, and let me open the old one that I just finished. If I can find it. It's not in the first game folder. It's in the second game. Okay. So here were our first attempts, and then here are our second attempts. And I will label second attempts for clarity's sake. We were at 6. 8, 9, 10, 11, 22. No, not really. Oh. All right. So now we have at least 12 options to think about. Going back to these after I've done some more, I still don't like 2 and 3, and I actually don't like 2 and 3 more now than I didn't like them before. So we'll just go ahead and forget about 2 and 3 and 6. Though now, 6 has potential. No, we're going to just... So maybe 6 is a good option for one of the later worlds that is not a grassy plain. Maybe there's some like creepy level, and that 6th one would probably be more useful for that. So that's a possibility. So even that bad idea that I'm going to throw away might be interesting. Oh, let me turn on my webcam again since we're just having conversations randomly. All right, so one is still dull. Oh, Stereo says 6 seems more like a jungle vine. Yeah, I agree. And I was originally thinking about doing a jungle, but then I thought, wait, that sounds like way too much work. So I might still do a jungle world. I haven't determined what the worlds are yet, other than the first one, which is going to be that thing at the top of the screen there with the little smiley face. Very standard first level. Yeah, but I agree. It does look a lot more like a jungle vine, so that might be an option for a jungle type level or something. Or even like a cave where things are, roots are creeping in or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, still like 4, still like 5. And going back to the other ones, I'm kind of digging 7, especially now that you pointed out you could put the character behind those little bumps. 8 is, I'm not feeling 8. 9 works okay. That might be another one for a later level. 10 and 11, I think they work, but I'm just not big on them. Did I not do a 12? Is that what happened? Or did I do a 12 and I erased it or something? I guess I didn't do a 12, so let me do a 12. We'll do a 12 as a variation on 4 and 5. How's that? And then it's 6:42 right now, so I'm going to do 12, and then I'll probably try 1 or 2 more things, and we'll wrap up for the day, because I try to keep these things to about an hour. I know some streamers go on for hours and hours, and that's fine. More power to you. I start to lose my attention span is not generally that long, so I'm trying to keep them shorter. Stereo says there was no 12. Okay, good. So I'm not crazy. All right, so 4 and 5 on the screen. We have like a wave and then those little bumps. So what if we took the concept of 5 with the wave and we added the bumps to it? So we have the big wave aspect, right? But then we go back in and add some detail to that. And I don't know what that would look like, but something like this. And again, we're taking a while, so I'll finish my story. Long story short, they go for the bears go for a walk in the woods. Some girl comes and she's lost and hungry. She breaks into their house. She eats all their food. She breaks their stuff. I mean, it's just like a terrible person in general. She goes to sleep in their bed, which is real weird. And they come home. They find her, probably call the cops, and everybody lives happily ever after. I mean, she's a minor, so I'm guessing that she didn't get too much in trouble for it. I think there are variations of the story where she gets eaten, or they are cool with her breaking into their house. I don't know, but we'll go with that version. Okay, so there's a variation where we have the wave, but we also have the little bits. The 2 that I liked had those drop shadows. So what if we add those drop shadows to this one by copying it? There we go. So we'll copy that and then paste it and put it underneath and drop the opacity a bit and move it down. Get past the D a little bit more. I don't hate that. Okay. So we got a bunch of people watching, but Stereos, you're the only one who's talking. So if you're still up for talking, I need your feedback. We have now 12, because I actually did the 12. Let's flip back and forth between them, and let's narrow a few down. What do you say? Save that one. Go back and save this one just to make sure. And then let's figure some things out. So, of the 12, is there any that jump out to you that you particularly like? And I will yammer for a bit and let you think of a response. And if you feel like typing it, you might, if you're still there, I mean, you might have left. But no wrong answers. So if you like one that I hate, it's no big deal. I'd rather get opinions. But I'm thinking that rather than the bumps all the way across, having a couple, then a gap might be better. So we're not even ready to choose one. You want me to keep doing more? All right, no, that's fine. It's better. All right, so let's try. I assume you're talking about 7 rather than the bumps all the way across, or do you mean on the bottom? Oh, maybe you mean on the bottom. Okay, so even though I was going to try and figure out which one of these to pick, instead, we're going to do it all again. Not really all again, but we're going to do some iterations. So let me save World 03 and try one more time. So what we will do is, on the bottom 12. All right, before we get to on the bottom 12, I'm going to, what level are you on there? There we go. Okay. I'm going to get rid of these a second. I'm going to try it on the first one, because I agree on the 12th, but what happens if I do that on this one? That I am kind of curious about now. If randomly there are some gaps. It might be interesting, and it might be nothing. But it doesn't hurt to try right now while we're still in the experimentation phase. It might give it a more organic feel, I don't know. Or it might be poop. Alright. So, no, I don't particularly like that. But I will try. Alright, let's try it on the bottom one here. On that level. Turn that off for a second. So, we're going to have it be smooth up until a bump, then maybe some bumps, and then smooth again. I'm going to have to just redo the bumps. Let's just redo the bumps, because that didn't work. Okay, so we got our nice swooshy wave. Working too clean again, just let it be, and it's fine. Okay, so we got our wave, and so we're just going to put some of the bumps. Have some different sizes, like in your example at the top. Okay, so if we do bump bump, let's say, we'll skip some room, other bumps, maybe, and then one here, oops, one there, one there. Well, that's a weird thing. It makes it look kind of diseased. Well, it's different. I'm not sure that version works, but I think I could probably keep tweaking it and then see how it goes. So we'll call this, we're at 12, 13, and 14. All right, so it's possibilities. I like the concept. I think you were right on with the concept. I don't know that I executed it well enough, and I'm not sure if in grayscale it's going to work as well as if it wasn't in grayscale. But there's stuff there that I could think about, because technically you could apply any of these to the, now we have a wave concept and see what it looks like. So there's actually a lot more that we could play around with that. If I don't pick something to proceed forward with, my wife is going to kill me, because I'm holding everything up with my lack of determining the art style. So I better pick something rather than continue this, because I can always change it later, right? Yes, that is true. All right, so let me open all of them one more time, and then we'll go from there. That one, zoom out a little bit on that one. It was too far, but it's fine. Okay. So we have, that's a good reason to pick. Yes, it is a good reason to pick. You got to keep the team happy. And there's only one other person on the team, so I know who I have to keep happy. So, of the ones that we have, chime in anytime if there's any that jump out at you. I'm going to put mine as green, and I'm going to star mine as green. I think that this one I really like, and I really like this one. I think this one has potential, but I'm sorry, I think that one has potential, but not really. And this one has, okay, it's all right, but I'm not a huge fan of that one, and I'm not a huge fan of that one. Number 2, I think this one has potential. I think that one has potential. I don't like that one, and I'm not really a fan of these, I guess. Okay. 4, 5, 7, and 12. All right, and I like this one a lot. And then we'll go to the last one. And I like the ideas of these, but I'm not sure that I executed them well enough. Okay, so let me grab the, so Stereos on the chat has a pink name, so I'm going to do pinks. We've got 4, another star for 4, 5, 7, 12, and 6. 7, 12, and 6. Okay, cool. Any that you don't like you look at and scream, why did you make me see such an atrocity? Or even just, I wouldn't. I mean, not looking for only praise here. If there's anything that you particularly don't care for, it also helps. Let me save the files again. I think what this does at least, and then I will turn my webcam back on for our closing comments. Okay, so I think what this does do is it gives me someplace to go from here. I appreciate that you like, okay, Stereo said 10 and 11. Does that mean those are the ones you hate? 10 and 11? Or you also like 10 and 11? So yeah, I think this gives you a good start, or it gives me a good starting point. Stereos also says 7 reminds me of an upper jaw. Maybe I could do like a graveyard level, and it would be teeth. See, then I'm getting into these crazy design ideas again, and I love doing that, but I'm trying to make this game a little more normal, because if you don't know, the first game that we're making is called The Death of Mr. Fishy, and it's about a fish dying. So it's kind of already really weird, and I wanted to follow that up with a game that my mother would probably enjoy rather than the first one where she's going to be like, what's wrong with you? Well, no, she already knows what's wrong with me at this point, so she won't say that, but she'll think it. But I like the idea of having some sort of graveyardy, like bones everywhere level, and then the whole stage could actually be teeth and stuff. That would be pretty cool. Okay, so Stereo says not a fan of 10 and 11, which is great because then we can just go ahead and eliminate those from running contention because I also don't like them. So what I think I'm going to do then to wrap up for the day is I'm going to take 4, 5, 7, and 12. I'll take 4, 5, 7, and 12, and I will try them out with some colors. And I would do that today, but I'm going to rest my eyes because it's Saturday and I should probably have at least some time off. But I'll try those in colors and then maybe play around a little bit with the ground itself to see if I add some dots and things like the texture and the one with the smiley face over there. And then see how that goes. And if that goes well, then I'll pick one and we'll just at least get started with the first level, because I could technically use a bunch of them for different levels, and that's what number 6 I will probably keep in mind for some sort of future level or a jungle motif or something. But this gives me a good place to start from, and I appreciate the help, and I think that we are charging right ahead. Okay, so that wraps up the art stream for today. Thanks for everybody for watching, and Stereos, I really appreciate the help. That was very helpful, honest to goodness, because sometimes when I'm doing it by myself, I just get caught up in indecision, so appreciate it. And I guess then we'll wrap up. I don't have a schedule yet for this coming week on streams, but I am going to do some. I'm not sure what the agenda is for those, but if you have any thoughts on when you'd like to see a stream because your schedule permits, send me a message via on Twitter at Weekend Panda, or if you're already in a stream, I guess you could. Oh, you can leave a comment because these are going to be on YouTube afterwards. So if you're watching on YouTube and you want to join one of the live streams, leave a comment when the best time is for you, and I'll try and see if I can work my schedule around that. Otherwise, at least the recordings are there to watch afterwards if you're at all interested. And then we'll keep chugging along towards the completion of game number 2, which, I mean, towards the start of game number 2, because it's not even a game yet, but coming along. Also, for anybody who's interested in the death of Mr. Fishy, we just finished getting approval with Apple for the developer account, so we are now at the part where we'll submit it to them. They will check it over to make sure that it's okay to be posted, and then as soon as that happens, it will be available both on the Apple App Store and on Google Play. So keep an eye on Twitter, and I will let you know when that happens, or I'll just put it everywhere. So if you have any connection to me online, you will probably find out when it launches, because I'll be very excited. I think that's it. So thank you very much for coming, and we'll see you next time. So long.